Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and today I'm here to share with you a couple of alternatives for the December 2020 paper pumpkin Beary Comforting. So I've got a card and this Ghirardelli holder to share with you. Let's set them aside and get started. For this alternative, we're going to use one of the envelopes from the Beary Comforting paper pumpkin kit, and we're going to start by cutting it apart, and I'm just going to use my scissors to cut carefully down the edges here. Oops, getting my finger caught on the flap, and I'm just trying to do the least amount of, in quotation marks, damage to the envelope as I cut it apart so that I can use as much of this as possible. Let's put my scissors away and grab my paper trimmer, and I'm going to start by cutting this loose. So I'm putting the score line right in the track of my trimmer. And let's put this piece out of the way, and I'm going to then take this, and I want to trim this little bit of a curved bit away. And then we're going to flip that over, and let's see how far out we're coming here. Okay. And trim that away. And then we're going to trim right here where the top of the curve on that envelope comes, so that we've got straight pieces all the way around. Now, to get rid of this fuzz on the end, I'm going to use this sanding block. It's just a nail sanding block, and I'm just going to carefully come down the edges here, and it pulls those little bit of fuzzy bits right off, so that our project won't look fuzzy when we're done. So let's set that aside and clean up this little bit of a mess and move on. So now I want to do a little bit of stamping with it. I've got I think they're leaves, that's what I'm going to call them, and my soft seafoam ink pad, and I'm just going to put a random design. I think I need to make sure I'm up here at the top, and photopolymers are great because you can match them up. Don't forget to turn your stamp so that everything's not headed the same direction. Need to make sure we get some of the turn over here on this side, and once again, let's line that up. I'm trying to go too fast. There we go. And down here, and I'll put a angled one there in the middle. Okay, so we're through with, no, I'm not. I have one more that I want to stamp around the edges, a piece of crumb cake, and I'm still going to use my soft seafoam on that. I need to quit rushing. Doesn't make it any faster if I have to go back and stamp everything again. Okay, and there we go. Now we're done with this. Let's put these two pieces aside, and I've got a piece of Very Vanilla here, and the bear from the Beary Comforting stamp set, and my basic gray ink. Just going to give him a light rub all over. Don't want to push him in, so that way he's not inked in all kinds of little places where we don't want ink. And then just take the time to rub all over. Make sure he gets contact on all of his little areas. Okay. And now it's time to do a little bit of coloring. So I have my Stampin' Blends here. Soft Seafoam and Petal Pink. And let's get my light and dark Soft Seafoam. This one's light. And this one's dark. And I'm just going to start up here around the ears with the dark and pull it out to the edge of his ears and come over here. Now remember, when you're coloring with blends on Very Vanilla, that your colors take on a little bit of a different look. One, they've got the extra tone from the Very Vanilla, and so I like to do some of my coloring and then let it dry and then decide whether I need to come back for more coloring. So I edged his face with the dark Soft Seafoam, and then I'm just going to pull the light across, and then we'll have some dark here. And then pull this down with the light. Coloring it with non-traditional colors makes me think of the Care Bears from ages ago. I don't know that they're still a thing. And then just bring this on down with the light. Going to hit the inside of his leg here with the dark. This is just quick and easy coloring. And then I'm just going to come back up from the bottom here. And again, come right in to the inside of the leg here, where there's a little bit of shading would happen. And we're just going to pull that out just a little bit. Okay, so there's our Soft Seafoam. Let me recap these. And now let's use some of the Petal Pink. And I'm going to do his ears and belly with the Petal Pink, but I want the brush ends. Okay, and we're going to start with the dark in here and pull that a little bit. And then we need dark along the arms. And then we need to do dark under the arms. And then we're going to just pull this towards the middle a little bit. And then I'm going to use my color lifter here to just finish with that. and then we're going to let that dry. Again, because it's on Very Vanilla, the color will change a little bit as it dries. So let's move my pens out of the way. And grab my paper snips, and we're going to cut this guy out while he dries. So just take your time. It's okay to leave a little border. Sometimes that's even desirable, to leave a larger border, because it can make your piece pop. And then be sure that you're turning the cardstock and not your scissors. You get a better cut that way. And we're almost done. Just here. Okay, let's move this bit out of the way. Then we need to do a little bit of die cutting. So I've got my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. And I have my 1 and 2 plate and a piece of Very Vanilla, and then I have one of the Stitch So Sweetly rectangles, and we're just going to put that in and hold the machine so it doesn't bounce the camera, and crank this on through. Okay, and now we're ready to roll and put this together. Let me put my pieces out of the way. Okay, so we're going to layer our envelope piece onto our piece of crumb cake. And the crumb cake is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I just want to center that on here. And then I've got some of the Very Vanilla with the gold trim edge that I'm going to put on here. And let's just cut a piece long enough to wrap around. And I'm going to hold that with a couple of glue dots. So let's pick up my glue dots for the ends of the ribbon. And then let's make sure that this is straight. And wrap one end, and then straighten this, and wrap the other end. You want to make it snug but not tight. You don't want it to bend your layer. And then let's bring my card base in here. I've got a crumb cake base and a Very Vanilla layer for the inside. And let's put some adhesive on that. And center this and give it a rub. Okay, and then we need dimensionals for this layer. Be generous with your dimensionals. You don't want pieces to be sagging, And I'm going to use this last dimensional right here on the edges of the ribbon. And we'll go ahead and add this to this layer. Okay, and straighten up my base on the grid paper. You can find grid paper in my Stampin' Up store. I find it handy to have around for just like this and to protect my work surface. Okay, and then we're going to add this very vanilla layer with dimensionals. And if you've used up all the dimensionals in your kit, you can also find dimensionals in my store. This month there were tons of dimensionals in the kit. Okay, and we're going to straighten that card again, and then last but not, or almost last, we're going to add our bear. And I want to offset the bear just a little bit. Okay, we're almost done, but we need the sentiment. I've got the rest of that piece of very vanilla that we used for the bear, and I'm going to take my light soft seafoam and just scribble. And then I have my sentiment, and I'm going to ink that in basic gray, just giving that a light rub across the top. Okay, let's close this up and pull that mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss back in. And we're going to cut this out with another of the Stitch So Sweetly dies. This one will make a great frame for the sentiment. And I just want to put on a piece of washi tape to keep it from shifting. Oh, not quite centered there. Looking at the M and the D on my mind to decide if I'm centered. I like to keep little bits of washi on the edge of my machine. Makes it easy for holding my dies in place, and the washi can be used several times. Okay. And then let's grab our dimensionals for the sentiment, and we are cooking with gas, as they say. Okay, so if I go single here, I've got to go double here. Okay, and how about we add just a tiny bit more? Got my basic pearls and my take your pick, and we're just going to add some little pearl accents in here, and There we go. So there's our Beary Comforting card alternative to go with. For the second alternative, I'm going to be using the rest of the envelope, and I'm going to start by checking the measurement here, and it is 5 3/4. So let's do some real quick math. So 2.5, about 2 5/8 should be, is that right? 2.5 is 5. No. So we want I think 2 7/8 is going to be half. So we're going to score. Be a little gentle with that so that you don't cut through your paper. The envelope is thinner than regular cardstock. And then put the fold here on the 2.5 line. And that's just because we need to score here. And then I want a little bit of a scored bottom. Let me find my 1/2 inch mark here. And then I'm going to, sorry, I'm thinking how this is going to fold before I make my cut. I do want to cut this gluey bit off the top. And that's about at the 3/4 inch mark over here. And I'll just take my paper snips to take this last little bit so that I'm not tearing it or causing extra fuzziness. Okay, so let's fold some score lines here. I'm going to nip this up here at an angle and take one of these off right along the score line. Okay, and then we're going to fold a score line in. And I like to give this a little bit of an angle cut here. And here at this score line, and then we're going to come down on the score line because we don't need to keep that piece. Oops. Make sure I'm cutting and not tearing. There we go. Okay. And then need to cut this piece off on the score line all the way up. Okay, making sure I've got all my pieces going where I want them to. And then we're going to fold this score line, and you're going to cut along this fold. And then just give this a light miter just because it'll make it look good when you've got it all folded closed. Okay, and the same thing here. You're just going to come in just a little bit and cut out to that corner. Okay, so let's put this together. I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue and add that here and on this tab. And fold that in, and oops, I need to miter this edge. Okay, because these two pieces have to come together. Okay, so one behind the other. And then give this a little bit of a rub. And we have our envelope here, and we're ready to decorate. Next, we're going to do our sentiment piece, and I've got a piece of envelope left, and I'm just going to trim up the sides here. And then let's see if we're straight, almost. So this just needs to be straightened slightly. And I'm going to use the edge of my scissor here to run down the score line on my paper to give me a straighter line to cut with. Okay. Now let's stamp this a little bit. That still doesn't look like it's taken that edge off right here. And we're a smidge high right here. Okay, that looks better. So let's get that soft seafoam ink again. And we're just going to stamp a couple of these little leafy looking things on here. Okay, and let's put this out of the way and grab the basic gray and our sentiment. Give this a rub all over so all the letters have picked up ink. And it says hooray. Okay, and I want a couple of glue dots here just to put under the edge of our envelope flap here. And we're just going to fold that over so we've got a nice little bit of contrast. See how those mitered edges look with that. And then I want a couple of dimensionals for the back of this piece. Oops. Put that back in my holder there. Okay, and then I just want a tiny bit of ribbon here. And we're just going to do a kind of figure 8 in behind here to give it a little bit of lightness. I'm not sure that's a word, but it's the one I'm using apparently. Okay, and let's grab another couple little glue dot bits there and put this down at an angle. And grab our backing pieces off. Let's straighten these so that they'll be seen. Oops. There we go. And then to finish this, we just need our little Ghirardelli square that will fit inside. This was Sara Levin, the Artful Inker of theartfulinker.com. You can find all of the regular Stampin' Up! Products that I used for today's projects in my store using the link below. If you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber with me, you'll receive the Beyond the Box alternative tutorial bundle in just a few days. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell if you'd like to be notified the next time I upload a video. Have a great day. Bye.